Hello and welcome to Sage's Tabletop Table Talks. I'm Sage, there's no table here, and this is Fox, and we are going to talk to you about tabletop role-playing games.
There is a cat on me.
There is a cat on him.
Anyway,
So this was actually Josh's idea, and I thought it was kind of a fun idea.
I think it's going to be an interesting thought experiment. We wrote nothing down.
No, this is generally how I do table talks anyway. We just pick a topic and we'll just roll with it and see what comes of it. But we are going to...
Don't you usually do your table talks with a hat?
Usually.
Oh,
I don't have my hat on me.
You did not bring your hat.
I did not bring my hat.
Okay. Alright, that's fine.
But, yes, we are going to, rank from a scale from S to F, basically the tier list thing, except for I'm not doing the tier maker thing because don't care.
We don't care enough to edit. We're just going to grade each one.
Yep. D&D classes, if they were in a actual, like, war setting.
Yeah, an actual big battlefield thing. How well would each Dungeons and Dragons class fare?
And we'll just do it alphabetical order. So we'll start with the Artificer.
I mean, this is heavy weapons guy for sure. They have like they're gonna bring to the table crazy weapons, possibly even on a good day of straight out battle mech.
Yes, to quote the Cranberries, their tanks and their guns and their bombs and their guns, which is what the Artificer brings. I'm only going to give it an A and not an S for one reason. They are kind of squishy.
And they can't bring everything. They do have a limited number of devices they could create, I suppose.
But just they're kind of squishy, meaning a stray blast could take them out of the fight fairly easily. That's why I'm not giving them S tier, but I think A tier.
I think A's fair.
They would do very, very well in a war situation.
I don't know the exact alphabetical order of things.
I got it pretty close. So next would be Barbarian.
I mean, this is your big rampagey dude that is surprisingly hard to kill.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing is though, Barbarians tend to do better in small skirmishes because they do move faster and they don't have heavier armor.
In the chaos of war, people are going to be less panicky of, oh my god, how are we going to deal with this guy? And are just going to be swinging at anything that moves.
Mm-hmm.
And less panicky. So yeah.
They are tough and they do hit hard.
Yes.
But I do think that they would also very easily have a target on them.
That's why I'm thinking B.
I think that's what I give them to is B.
Give them B for Barbarian.
Yes. Also, I'm just gonna let you know I'm not gonna go into each individual subclass because it would be nightmarish to be like, well, the Paladin. Oh, the
no. We're going generic this class.
Next would be the Bard.
The Bard straight out won't be a less of a threat directly, but
I believe the modern 5th edition Bard with their inspiration targets. So they're like, you get a bonus and you get a bonus instead of the 3rd edition Bard where everyone within 30 feet that can hear him gets a bonus. Which
that's less powerful.
Yeah, that considerably weakens what the Bard could do. And, of course, aforementioned squishiness.
I mean, battle heralds have existed in real life, but they're not quality soldiers.
Yeah, usually battle heralds tend to just be rallying points for soldiers as opposed to...
I mean, don't get me wrong, rallying points are very important, but...
I agree, but, yeah, I don't think a Bard, the 5th edition especially Bard, would do particularly well in warfare. What are you thinking? I'm kind of on the edge of 2. Where do you think we should put him?
I think because the limits they've put on inspiration, I'm thinking C.
I could do C. I was going between C and D, but I could do C. Next is the Cleric.
Armored battlefield medics
Yeah.
are always important.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is like battlefield medics are important. This is a battlefield medic who also can hit you really hard. Not as hard as a fighter, but hard enough to make you reconsider your life choices.
And wearing heavy armor survive a bit more.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna put this one up on S tier. I think that a
I
cleric would.
I think in war clerics would be extremely important, and depending on what the opposition is,
Mm,
it could be even more important because if you happen to be facing an army of undead,
and that's true. But just if we're even if we are just talking humans, they are not only tough, they can hold their own in a fight, and they can make it that your guys who are fighting are less dead than they should be. So yeah, I'm definitely putting cleric up in S.
I'm inclined to put most caster classes up there,
Oh yeah.
but clerics are a special kind of useful in war.
Well, much kind of like the artificer and the bard, a lot of spellcasters have that squishiness problem,
Right.
where a few stray arrows might take them out of the fight. Clerics do not have that problem.
They are able to wear armor, and that is
And
good.
they have decent hit points. D8,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
And then the next one down is Druid.
Druids have a lot of potential. I like Druid.
I like Druid. Druids are an odd one because they are very versatile, but a lot of their abilities I see also being detrimental. Because like, oh, they can turn into a bear. But I'm gonna tell you right now, if I'm an archer and there's a bear on the other side of that battlefield, I'm gonna shoot the bear.
I mean, they do make themselves a target when they use that ability.
Mm-hmm.
I think later, more advanced druids can be turned into elementals.
Probably. I'm not 100% sure with 5e rules.
Yeah, they might not in 5e.
I have not played a druid that far in 5e. Even so, if that dude turns into a big fire thing, I still must shoot that dude.
Yeah, and even if they go like, I'm now a war elephant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna probably shoot that war
Yeah,
elephant.
I mean, you become a target unless there are more obvious targets out there.
I will, however, say the druid's good defense, Entangle.
Yes.
Entangle is a very good battlefield control ability.
Some of their field control abilities are really good. They can, in a pinch, also heal. Not as well as a cleric, but yes.
That is true. And they're decent in a fight.
So I want to place them B or A.
That's kind of where I'm falling. High B, low A, B plus
Yeah.
A minus.
Yeah.
Right there in between. I think would be good. Druid after Druid, I believe, is our fighter.
Fighters, your generic footman soldier.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what else to say. I think we'll put him. I'd put him on the same level as barbarian, probably because he might not hit as hard, but he is tankier.
He is tankier. I also think one of the things about fighters is their abilities, especially for a lot of our subclasses, have synergy that allow them to coordinate better with other fighters.
And a fighter would be a good class for a commander.
Mm-hmm.
If
I'm not mistaken, there is a commandery fighter class that kind of doles out something similar to Bardic Inspiration.
And it might be small, but the ability to pick up any weapon effectively is something.
Well, if you can carry a couple of different weapons, it means that you've got something to help you no matter the situation.
Whereas I could see a barbarian charging right into battle stupidly. A fighter who's like, okay, I'm going to put down this sword and shield. I'm going to take out my bow.
So I would put him slightly above above the barbarian. Probably put him in the A tier.
Yeah, I talked myself into it. I think fighter's an A.
Let's see. After fighter, paladin.
The paladin.
Actually, no. Next is monk.
Okay, monk. Monks are weird.
Monks are weird. Monks have a lot of abilities. I don't think that they would do well in mass combat.
I don't know about you, but I have never seen a Bruce Lee movie where he is in the middle of a war zone knocking people, punching people out.
Well, you're familiar.
Although that would be awesome.
That would be awesome. You're familiar with the law of inverse ninjutsu. The more ninjas you have on your side, the less power they have. Because all the ninjutsu has to be spread out among.
However, I'm not sure I would want to go to war against an entire temple of Shaolin monks.
That's true. Unfortunately, 5th edition monks don't have what made Shaolin monks really cool, which was guns.
Okay, yeah.
We don't have gun monks in D&D. I guess you could make a gun monk out of Kenshi.
Yeah.
But yeah, D&D needs gun monks because Shaolin monks used fucking guns. Yeah, I would put them low. I think that they have a lot of... I mean, honestly, they're not even that great of a class to begin with.
And what abilities they have are more suited to smaller scale fights.
Yeah, and adventuring stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think Slowfall's gonna do you much good in a war.
Probably not.
I'm not sure that not aging's gonna do very good in a war
It's
either.
like the only weird thing that popped in my head about Slowfall being useful in war is if we had like parachute monks.
Yeah, parachute monks would be badass.
And that would actually have parachutes, but they jumped out from on high, but they're weirdly falling slow for no damn good reason.
I don't know if they still need a wall to slow fall or not, but wouldn't that be in? So you have parachute monks. Okay, so the artificer have airships that drop giant tungsten rods that the monks use to slow fall down into the fight. So they're just dropping tank busters onto the field, and
then all of a sudden there's this punchy dude that jumps off it.
In this scenario, I'm putting monks at S class. I think I'm gonna put monks at D class.
The D normally, but if we have the actual instance of parachute monks, then we... Okay.
After monk is the would be the paladin.
Now, paladins, I feel, are very much like fighters, but better?
Yeah, they can heal, which
Yeah.
is useful. Like you said, if you're fighting undead, but if we're just talking just humans versus humans, I think paladins are fighters, but a little better in this situation. Fighters do have some advantages, like you said, in a commander role, but paladins...
Yeah, they're fighters after you bought the DLC.
Yeah, right.
He's like, fighters on this subscription service.
Yep. You get heal power.
A couple other things, but mostly heal power. If one could consider your enemy evil,
Yep.
smite their ass.
So, are we gonna call paladins S? Because we put fighters at A. Or we want to put paladins at A+.
A+, I guess.
All right.
They might be S tier, but I'm a little nervous to put them there.
Yeah.
A+. Because they're just a little bit better than fighter.
Yeah. Next up, we have Ranger. F. Ranger suck.
The consideration, unless we're talking guerrilla warfare,
Mm-hmm.
but we're talking.
But what we were talking about was mass combat, because we could invent a situation where any of the classes would be super useful.
Yeah, but we're not fighting in the middle of a forest. There's no sneaky elements. There's no individual hunter stuff to consider.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Rangers
just suck.
A bad fighter.
I mean, Rangers aren't a great one. Much like Monk, as much as I love the idea of a Monk, Rangers kind of just suck to begin with. And here they have shittier armor. They have the same health as a fighter, but they have less combat options. They have oh, what you gonna sick your fucking dog on him? Guess what that dog's gonna do? It's gonna get stabbed in the head with a spear when it tries to bite that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Rangers are just F
Especially in this
situation. Yep.
Yeah. They're too specialized for war.
Mm-hmm. Next up are the Rogue.
The Rogue could take advantage of the chaos on the battlefield.
Yes.
But
because if the Rogue could start darting into the enemy lines, they could take advantage of the modern sneak attack, which is anytime they gain advantage, they gain sneak attack. And in a mass combat situation, once the lines hit, they're going to start pushing in, and the Rogue could possibly take advantage of that. However, they are kind of squishy, and they are limited in their weapon choices.
This is trying to throw Spec Ops into a straight-out battlefield.
Yes. If we were inventing situations, Rogues would be great at that. Guerrilla warfare. They'd be great at espionage and assassination. But in a mass combat, I feel like their attempt to push themselves to that advantage would just cause them to be surrounded.
So I'm inclined to say D to F.
I'm inclined to give them a D tier.
D.
Like, unlike the Ranger, there is a situation where they would be useful.
Yes.
It's just not a very good one. So after the Rogue would be the Sorcerer.
Now we're starting to get into some of those. Like I said earlier, I want to put spellcasting classes on a higher tier just now because of their overall potential as basically artillery.
Yes. 5th edition sorcerers get meta magic feats.
Oh,
they're the ones that can utilize meta magic. So I think with the right spell output, they could put some serious hurting on.
Not to be generic as heck, but a wartime setting screams fireball.
Right. Well, I mean, imagine if you had a couple sorcerers drop some maximized fireballs on a front line of the opponent, you could take a huge bite out of there.
I mean, unless they are somehow resistant to fire, then you can like chain lightning them.
Chain lightning or cone of cold, ice storm. You need ice storm to help also, much like the druid, create terrain advantages on your behalf. Mm-hmm. Because something you don't hear about a lot when it comes to warfare is how much important terrain is on your side. Is if you can get the sun at your back, you've got them partially blinded, and your side illuminated. You can, which is one of the things Sun Tzu said was always fight with the sun to your back.
It's like we have the high ground, which means to try to get to our spell flinging wizards, you're going to have to run up that hill.
Mm-hmm. And while you're running up that hill, even if we remove just generic warfare, to get to us, you got to run up that hill. Well, while you're running up that hill, we are peppering you with archer fire.
And by the time you get to us, you're tired.
And since we're up and you're down, our archers are going to get you before you can get to us. So, before your archers can fire up at us. So, we effectively get initiative. But yeah, sorcerers do suffer from the problem of squishiness, but you kind of got to get close enough to do that. And to do that, you're going to encounter fireballs and chain lightning and ice storms. They
are glass cannons, but they are glass cannons.
Yes.
So, I still want to put them really high.
I do too.
Either A or S.
I think I'd put them at S tier.
I was like, what's next? Warlock?
Next is Warlock.
Which, I'm not as familiar with Warlock. I know the basic idea, but I don't know everything they're capable of.
A lot of their spells tend to be kind of hex-based. They do damage, but a lot of them also tend to be spells with, like, poison.
So less blasty, more anti-support.
Yeah, kind of. They do have a really, really powerful attack spell with Eldritch Blast,
Yeah.
which is one of the best attack spells in the game, but that is a targeted spell
Mm.
as opposed to the sorcerer's fireballs.
Yeah, AoE is so much more useful on the battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
But Eldritch Blast, you sexy motherfucker. Anyway. Anyway.
But they still do have a lot of powerful spells, so I'm inclined to rank them kind of high.
I'd say with targeted spells and effect inflicting, I'd put them at, rather than the far more useful blasting, I'd put them at A.
I would probably put them
I'd
at
put
A.
a Warlock at A.
And then we round out the Wizard.
Wizard matches the sorcerer's power, but I think the Wizard has more versatility overall.
So I kind of stand with this. I think in most situations the Wizard has more versatility. The problem is when you compare the Sorcerer's meta magic class ability versus the Wizard's school specialization, the Wizard does not have a school that really puts more bite into his spells. Where the Sorcerer can maximize and lengthen, extend, and things like that with their spells. Which is why I think 99% of the time I'd take a Wizard over a Sorcerer. I think this is the 1% I'd put a Sorcerer over. Because maximizing, extending, and the one that increases duration, power, and reach of a spell.
I have only one advantage I can think of.
Uh-huh.
And that because of the schools and how the magic schools would work, I think the Wizard would have more ammo.
That is true. I think the Wizard probably would have more ammo.
But that is like the one thing.
Mm-hmm. I'm inclined to put the Wizard at high A tier. Just under the Sorcerer.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, just under the Sorcerer.
Like I said, 99% of the time, I would play a Wizard over a Sorcerer.
Yeah.
I just think that this is the one. Which puts Cleric and Sorcerer at our S tiers. So if you're going into war, bring a lot of Clerics and a lot of Sorcerers. Throw in some Paladins and some Fighters while you're at it.
Ultimately, that just means Charisma wins the day, doesn't it?
I guess it does.
Charisma wins wars.
Yep.
Which is also true for diplomacy.
That is also true for diplomacy.
Interesting.
Now, see, that's where the Bard comes in. The Bard would end up marrying the opposing king's daughter and end up doing a peace treaty that way.
Or being very good at negotiating treaties.
But anyway, that was fun.
Yes.
So I guess I will see you guys next time. Something, roll some dice. Goodbye.
Yo.